Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Speak Your Mind with Larry Cox. It is great to be here this evening, and I am going to introduce my special guest right now. Would everyone welcome Mr. Alex McDonald? Good evening, Alex. How are you doing today?
What's up, Larry? Doing well, thank you.
Doing
Thanks for
pretty
having
good,
me on.
Alex. So that's
Appreciate
good to hear.
appreciate you having me on. Your audio is a little bit choppy on my end. I don't know if it is for the audience, but I may have a difficult time. It's like a bad cell phone. It was like a bad phone call, so to speak. So
I
I may
got
be
it.
asking you to repeat yourself, and I apologize for
That's
that in
okay.
advance.
So if I could ask the audience, do you guys hear me clear, or am I choppy with you also?
We shall see. We'll we'll
Yeah,
we'll go and we'll see what happens. Because listen, we have pretty good brains, human beings, and we're able to, I think, decipher what you're saying. So
Yeah.
I have to avoid talking at the same time.
Miss Russo says there's an echo. So yeah, there is something causing an echo. So we'll have to to deal with that. And like I said, I told you earlier, I thought I had an echo.
Yes,
So
you did.
and it's something I'll have to work on. You guys will probably have to just tolerate it during this session, and I'll see what I can do to fix this as we're moving forward. Al is clear, and Larry has an echo. Okay, so uh, she says I'm in stereo sound. Okay, let's interesting. Let's see what the echo does moving forward. So, Alex, how are things been going in your world?
Um, I mean, good. Things are good for me. Um, are you asking personally, or are you about why I'm here this evening?
Well, personally, and then why you are here this evening.
Yeah, I mean, things are going great for me. Other than, I told you I had to drop 6 grand here recently to get some trees removed after that storm. That was painful. I will tell you that much. But no, I've been doing well. Danielle and I still doing our show, enjoying that. I don't know if you saw, but I built a watch this weekend, bought all the parts, and actually, well, to say built is probably misleading. I assembled a watch because I didn't build the movement. I bought a Seiko movement and then bought all the different parts and put it together. Yeah, I've been, just living life, Larry.
Well, I had the tree incident too, Alan, but I did not spend 6 grand. I only spent 2 grand.
You're right. Right. Yeah.
So the weather and the trees have played havoc on us all.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately. However, the reason I'm here tonight is because of a post I made to my page this week in Rockdale. Um, all right, I'll put it this way. I posted inaccurate information. I wanted to come on tonight because I don't go live on my page anymore, Larry. You know that.
Yeah.
Occasionally I'll record a video and upload it, but I don't go live over there. And I thought, I'll ask Larry if I can come on with him. And what I'd like to do tonight is present the information to show people why I made that post. And then people can make up their own minds from there. But the last thing I want to do, and you remember when we were doing the show together, the very last thing I want to do is post inaccurate information. I don't like for somebody to be able to turn around and say, "Oh, that was misinformation." I made a post. I posted a correction. Said, "You know what? My bad. I posted information prematurely." I left that up for a couple of days. People were still commenting on it like the original post was accurate information, and so I ultimately took the post down to get it off. This is my opportunity to explain what happened and for people to see why it happened, and then they can make up their own minds from there.
And and that's admirable, right? So we all know that when we're doing these kind of shows and we're looking for information and we try to verify that it's accurate, sometimes we make mistakes.
And sometimes things slip through the cracks. Sometimes things are misconstrued. And occasionally I'll screw up. I want to present again.
But I will say, Alex, through the years that you and I have done this, if people would know the things we haven't posted and talked about that we found out that were eventually accurate, but because we couldn't prove they were accurate at the time we were given the information, we stayed away from the stories.
Right. Stayed away. Oh, sorry. I don't know if you can hear that. Yeah. If I can't verify something, if I can't validate something, I'll stay away from it completely. I mean, I can talk about it now if you'd like.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
I have some, hopefully, I don't know if you're going to leave this like this or if you're going to full screen me, because I have some graphics I'm going to bring up, Larry. It started last Sunday when I received this message. Now, this message is from the chairman. This is from, or chairperson, I should say, Janice. And she sent me these, she sent me photos of these forms. And these are spreadsheets, effectively tables. This one you can see at the top, Q1 2025, admin building relocation evaluation. And you can screenshot this and you can read that. But at the bottom there, additional cost to project, negative $11,279,500, which to me, Larry, working in this industry, indicates a saving. And you can see some of those numbers are highlighted in blue, some of those are highlighted in red. The second one was this, Q3 2025, admin building relocation evaluation. It looks like they potentially went through and recalculated the numbers. And again, at the bottom, additional cost to project, negative $19,747,944. I responded to this. I asked Janice, I said, what would the alternate site be, the alternative site? Parker Road. And she confirmed Parker Road. And I said, well, those are substantial savings. I'll be interested to see where this goes. That was on Sunday. Then on Monday, I thought about this for a minute. And I asked Monday, I said, by the way, am I allowed to talk about the relocation proposal? Janice said, yes. I double checked the numbers. I then said, well, who prepared the numbers? And she confirmed it was, or said it was, Andrew Hammer. Now, I'm not sure what position Andrew holds over there, Larry. Maybe you do. But that's what Janice said. So I went ahead and created my post and I put it up. This was Monday morning. I don't recall the time and I apologize for that. About 15 minutes after I'd posted, and I don't believe that, I don't believe the chairman knew I had posted, I received this. She said, we're going over it tonight with the Citizens Financial Oversight Committee. So if you could just hold off until tomorrow. And I said, oh, well, I just posted it. And you know, as well as I do, Larry, once it's posted, you can't just, if people see it and you can't just take it down. That ends up looking a bit shady. So I left it up. Then later in the day, I received this. And this was at 12:44 on Monday. Sue wanted me to mention to you that we're not considering moving it. It does not make any financial sense to do that. I said, well, that's odd. Why work up the numbers and discuss it tonight, referring to the Citizen Finance Committee? And Janice said, I'm sorry if I'm confusing you, but it was just simply to share with you. It was some notes that I had. I think someone had a question about why don't we move it? The prohibitive cost would make it go over budget, makes it impossible to move it. It was at that point that I went on. I'm done sharing documents, Larry, if you want to, there you go. It was at that point that I posted the correction and said, you know, I said, I've been told this apparently isn't under consideration. This is not being considered. It is cost prohibitive, and yeah, it's not going to happen. I edited the post, put that right at the top, so hopefully it was the very first thing people saw. Like I said, people continued to comment on it like this was being considered, and so I ultimately took the post down to avoid, once I knew that the information wasn't accurate, I don't want to let that spread even further. You know what I mean? But here's the thing. The reason I posted it is because I'll take responsibility. I want to say that right now. I take responsibility for posting something that turns out isn't true. This is not under consideration. However, the reason I posted it is because I was led to believe that it was under consideration, and it was so much under consideration that they were going to discuss it with the Citizen Financial Committee Monday evening.
And you asked that question and thought you received the answer that still confirmed what you believed about the data.
I verified that it was Parker Road and got confirmation. I said those are substantial savings. I actually didn't receive a response to that. But I mean, how do you've seen those forms? How do you read them?
I read them the same as you. I mean, I know.
I read those as a savings. And
Charlotte mentioned in hers, I guess she had asked about it apparently and was told that they were supposed to be pluses and not minuses.
And that's why I got a call later in the day from Sue Sanders. And listen, I want to be perfectly clear. Sue did say those numbers aren't accurate. She said something along the lines they were supposed to be pluses, not minuses, and said, I'll send you the actual numbers. And I said, well, I've already posted a correction, so I'm not going to, I've taken responsibility for posting it. So, don't worry about it. However, apparently those numbers are available, I guess, if anybody wants to submit an Open Records Act request to see them. But that's why I posted it. I misinterpreted what was being said, but I think it's very easy to misinterpret what was being said there. And I don't know, whether people agree with me or not. But it's my bad, and I apologize. The last thing I want to do is share information that isn't genuine. But I still wonder why discuss it, or why say you're going to be discussing it with the Citizen Financial Committee that Monday evening if it's not under consideration. If it was ruled out because it's cost prohibitive, why the conversation?
Alex, as you look back and then you look at the progress of the project, and you've actually been showing the progress of the project with your flyovers, with your drone.
Mhm.
I think back in January, it would have made sense to do the cover up and stuff like you said, because they were barely started anything. But now, I mean, you've got the steel being erected, you've got everything that they were going on, and I was questioning whether what was going on myself, right? When you first mentioned the documents and stuff. So I didn't think I felt there was some sort of misunderstanding going on too, because it just didn't make sense.
Yeah, and I obviously, I don't know. I read that as a cost saving. I think anybody would have read it as a cost saving. Sue did offer to send over the actual numbers. Like I said, I declined because I'd already posted a correction. I just don't want. I don't want to be known as the person that posts misinformation. You know what I mean?
Right, and thus why you came on the show and why you wanted to clarify why you thought what you thought and then why you removed the post, and because you want to make sure everybody knows there was no nefarious activities going on.
Yeah, there was no bad intentions there, because I don't know if anyone's noticed, but since they broke ground, I've not said anything about this courthouse and admin facility. I've just sat back and because to me it's a done deal, right? This was I mean, what it is. Right, you've heard me say that many times. It is what it is. It's a done deal. So I've been documenting it. My intention is to keep documenting it. I'm due to go over. I should have gone over this weekend, to be honest, because I'm trying to do one at the beginning of each month to see how it's going, and I'm delayed on this one. And by the way, I will say this for the county as well. They repealed one of their drone policies. I'm not going to say at my request, but I did bring it to their attention that their drone policy conflicts with state law. And if I were to go over under the county's existing policy, if I were to go over there and fly that property, that I would be breaking a county ordinance, so to speak. And they repealed that. They voted on it in a board meeting and repealed that so that anyone who flies can enjoy flying, quite frankly. But to me, it was so that I could fly there and document this process.
Well, Alice, as you and I know the way law works, a county or local ordinance cannot supersede a state law.
Exactly. It can't
A state law
preempt
cannot cannot supersede federal law. I mean, so it is what it is.
Yeah. So yeah, that's why I showed up tonight. I appreciate people listening. Hopefully people understand why I posted that to begin with. I accept responsibility that I misinterpreted what it was. I just don't want the people to think that I did that intentionally and that was my intention to mislead people. I think it would have been awesome had those numbers actually been savings, and that we could just chop down some steel, bury the foundation, and build a new facility over at Parker Road where it should have been to begin with. But that is not to be.
No, and the chairperson actually joined the show a little bit ago. I don't know if you noticed or not. So good evening, Janice. We're here discussing the documents, the document breach. We'll call it. You're the Edward Snowden.
Right. Yeah. And that's how after I did that, I swear to God, that's kind of how I felt. After I'd posted it, and then I'm not going to say all hell broke loose, but I got a lot of messages and phone calls, including from the county, and I felt like that's how I felt, like Ed Snowden. I'd violated some trust or something like that, and nobody intentionally tried to. That's how I felt. Nobody made me feel that way. It's just how I felt about it, because I don't want to share things. I don't want to post things that aren't true, that aren't accurate.
Yeah, you was like he did the national security stuff, and you felt, oh man, I've done a county breach.
Exactly. But yeah, that was it. That's all I came on to share. Hopefully people understand, and my due diligence will be doubled at this point. I think I try to be as diligent as possible. Going to try to be even more diligent in the future.
Well, Alex, like I think it was a week or so ago, when they had the fire over at the trucking place. So, it was like, and Al and I do our best with our networks here to share stuff and whatever. And I was busy and stuff and not in a place where I could do something also, but I was reached out to by some from the county, wanted to know, they wanted to reach Alex and me and wanted to see if we would post something about that fire to make sure it wasn't biolab. Then because people were concerned it was that. And, and I was not in a place that I could actually do it, but I knew I called Alex and see if he was, and he was able to do it. So Al and I are both, we want to help when we can help and do, the right thing. And like, the week before you were posting, things to make sure people were aware it wasn't biolab, but it was another facility. It was a normal kind of fire, right?
Yeah. And again, credit to the county for this. It was the county that reached out, and it was George Diaz, who is I guess contracted with the county right now. He reached out. He said, listen, I want to reach out to local media and shows first. He said, then I'm going to reach out to the regular media. He said, but I want you guys, if you're able to, if you can, to post this information. And I said, okay, I'm absolutely fine with that. And then later in the evening, he gave me a call and gave me an update about what was going on. I was able to post that information. Yeah, I mean, the county being proactive and reaching out to the community and trying to use every resource available to them to get information out to the residents. It was, I thought they did a great job.
Yeah, and what was it? And that was what, I use an example of partnering with local media sources. And, and that's what, George said he felt that we were local media sources, and he recognized us as that. So being such, we do have the responsibility of being above board when we say something or report something that we feel afterwards needs to be corrected or explained, doing the right thing.
Oh, absolutely. Listen, I'm not above admitting when I've screwed up, when I've done something wrong. In fact, it's important to be able to. Otherwise people, you'll lose more credibility that way than you will simply, posting nonsense. If you
100%, Alex. I mean, I'll use an example of the past administration. When they would say things that were inaccurate or far-fetched, the tagline that they would come back with is, "This is why we have to educate the public." And 90% of the time, they were the ones who had the misinformation, but somehow we needed to be educated because of their misinformation.
Yeah.
And that was time after time after time.
Whenever we called a tax increase, Oz loved to educate us on how his tax increases weren't actually tax increases, even though they were.
Well, you do know by law now, 581, you can't do that anymore.
Right. I mean, it used to be that, when they did their notice of tax increase, that the state law required them to post, but they just had to post it in the newspaper, and then in their meetings, Oz was able to say, well, we're not raising your taxes. We're keeping the millage rate the same, or, whatever. Well, keeping the millage rate the same based on increased home values obviously is a tax increase, which is why the state require you to post a notice of tax increase. But Oz could never, I don't know whether he just didn't understand that and needed to be educated on it, or whether he was being deliberately obtuse and trying to mislead. But hey, yeah, he loved to educate.
That it is just amazing. I mean, a piece of legislation gets passed and says you can no longer, you have to admit that it's a tax increase, right? So they had to pass a law to make elected officials say they were increasing taxes. Now, I'm just telling you, this is something that would be in some sort of fiction novel, right? Yeah, they had to pass a law to make you tell the truth.
Right.
And
Right.
that's, it's just, it's, it's just something that's, that's crazy, right?
Mhm.
Just totally
Speaking of
crazy.
tax increases, I want to talk to you about your tax increase real quick.
Okay.
Because I said some things on Voices for Rockdale. And again, I'm not trying to be an ass about it, but you and I both have been advocates for the taxpayer. And I admit, listen, I will tell you right up front, is it 2.3%?
2.3%. Yes.
A 2.3% increase is way better than a 17% increase, but it is still a 2.3% increase. You know this. You don't hide from
No,
it.
I don't hide it. But also, if only business and non-homesteads will get an increase. If you will pay the exact same amount of taxes you did last year if you had a homestead.
Because of 581, right?
Because of 581, because this is not the year that the rate of inflation gets added. So there's nothing gets added to it. It will be the exact same amount. Whatever you paid last year is what you're going to pay this year. So if you had a homestead exemption last year, you will not see a tax increase from the Board of Education.
Right. Here's the thing. Somebody on the post said it was impossible to adopt the rollback rate. And I want you to speak about this because I know what the reality is. You know what the reality is. You and I have discussed it. But I said, well, nothing's impossible, right? There's mass layoffs. Those are a possibility. There's austerity measures. Those are a possibility. Are they preferable? Well, no, obviously not. But they are an option that's available. So to say it's impossible to adopt the rollback rate is just it's. I mean, in reality, it is the reality of the situation. But it's quite possible to get to the rollback rate by doing layoffs and stuff like that. But that's well, I mean, it's just
Alex, I think
it's just not realistic, and that's what I wanted you to.
No, it's not
be able to
realistic.
talk
It's
about.
not realistic, especially when I see people. Like I've got some meetings this week that we're going to talk about milestones and stuff, the results, and you're going to see some improvement in with some test scores, right? A lot of things. Now there are going to be some things that had some negatives, but there are going to be a lot of things that had positives, and what I believe is where the trend is going. We do not want to upset the trend by reducing staffing or anything like that. Because I think in the next 2 to 3 years, we're going to see some very positive things happen in Rockdale County when it comes to numbers. And now I'm going to make my disclaimer. Okay. I am not speaking for the Board of Education at this moment or the district. I'm speaking on my personal opinion, and I happen to be a board member, and this is how I believe, right? So again, last week I even mentioned this when I made this disclaimer that one of the things when I spoke with leaders in the state legislature this past year that upset them was that school districts were promoting graduation rates and hiding from reading and math deficits.
Right.
Okay.
You and I have discussed that.
We've discussed that.
Over and over.
For me, it is more important that those scores increase. Now, trust me, I want to see our graduation rates stay where they are and continue to climb. But it is, in my opinion, much more important that those reading and math scores also raise while we're maintaining those graduation rates. Okay. So, and that's where I think that as we look at maintaining our staffing, I think that's where you're going to see the difference in the next couple of years, Alex. I think there was some increase this year. And I think as we move forward with some changes that are being made at the district, you're going to see continued increase in these scores. And I think we all know when education is successful in a community, it's a trickle effect. Because if the educational system is successful, then business growth and housing growth follows because people want to be in that school district. So one of my objectives as being a board member is to see that growth occur so that we can impact the community positively. Because the Board of Education has no ability for job creation, economic development. That's not what we do. So when people come to our meetings and they start talking about Whole Foods and all this kind of stuff, it's wrong meeting, right? Wrong meeting. Just like when they go to the Board of Commission or the city and they start hammering them about school board taxes, wrong meeting, right? So, so I think that, could something have occurred to whatever? Yes, but it would have been very difficult to maintain the services that we provide now and other things to do something like that. So it was just not practical. And we already were going into fund balance $4.5 million.
Right.
So that we didn't have to go raise any additional.
Yeah. Here's the thing. You and I, we've both been advocates for the taxpayer. I have no doubt that if you were able to avoid it, you would have done it. If you were able to avoid an increase, you would have done it. You don't hide from it, though, and that's what matters. That shows character, right? In fact, you're probably the first politician I've known that has said, yeah, we're going to be raising taxes. And it is what it is. Here's the thing. I think the changes that we've made, the community as a whole has made to the school board, and of course to the county administration, I think they're very positive changes. I'm looking forward to where things go. I will always call out a tax increase. I have to, but I understand, and it helps that you've been very transparent about it and talked about it and been upfront about it and explained the ins and outs, the whys, why this happened, why we have to do this. That is a huge help. I don't know what's going to happen in future years. Neither do you at the moment. I'm going to keep watching it. But yeah, I mean, I will always say, when a tax increase comes, I'm always going to say, where's my money, Larry? You know what I mean?
And people have the right to ask, and they have the right to ask. So if what am I going to get for this 2.3% increase, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think what I think you're going to see is an improvement in test scores. Yeah, just from what I've personally observed, Alex, there is a renewed energy in the school system. There is a renewed. It's a rebirth, one might say, right? Of just excitement about what can happen. With this school system, and I'm excited to be on board with it. I'm excited, to have coworkers like Justin, Justin. We're on the campaign trail, and let's be honest, we were very few individuals who talked about the things we talked about. Right. So Justin, who was on the board at the time, I mean, he took a lot of criticism for the things that he said because he was an existing board member. and I said things, and people said that if I got elected, it would actually be the end of education as we know it in Rockdale County. There was actually a post that went out, a letter begging the voters not to support me because it would be the end of education as we know it. And this is from former board members that did this.
Yeah. You say that the school system, the board, it doesn't really have any effect on economic development. They kind of do, though. And if the improvements that you're talking about materialize, that will help drive economic growth and economic development in Rockdale. The school system is one of the leading metrics and I'm looking forward to it. I'm very hopeful that under the guidance of our new superintendent and this new board, I'm very hopeful that we can turn this around. Like you said before, things might get worse before they get better because it takes time to implement change. But you're there for what, you got another 3 years?
Yeah, 3 years. But I'll tell you, Alex, again, disclaimer, what I'm about to say, it's not the opinion of the district or this or that, right? Or the board. I'm not certain that things will get worse as more as they're just going to be reported unfiltered.
Reported accurately, yeah.
Unfiltered.
That's a much better way of putting it, yes.
With me, it's unfiltered, Alan, or a little more politically correct.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
So I think that people have a better sense of the state of education,
Mhm.
right? That we're experiencing. Yeah, Justin, I think he just sort of echoed what you said. We don't have an impact on economic development, but we're paramount to local economic development.
Yeah,
and that's
and
true.
like I say, if the improvements that you guys, I'm talking to you. I'm not gonna widen that scope. If the improvements you're talking about materialize, it's going to be very important for Rockdale.
Yes, it will be very important to Rockdale, and I, I'm very hopeful and optimistic that we will see improvement. I think that the direction that we're heading, in my opinion, I don't think it can do anything but improve. Right.
Mhm.
And the fact that, the community is going to be able to look at things unfiltered and know where we actually stand and where we can go from the unfiltered reality. That's going to make a difference. It really is. Because transparency is just so important. And I think that previous administrations, both Board of Commission and Board of Education, lacked transparency. And but that's something I said many a times as a host on this show, and you know that.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Let me ask you a question, because I don't know our superintendent. I've never met her. I've heard good things though. People like her. I've heard that. I've long and short of it, I've heard good things. Here's one of the things I've heard. She's a teacher's superintendent. I've heard somebody described her to me this way. She's a teacher's superintendent rather than an administrator's superintendent. Is that something you would agree with?
I would definitely agree with that. And one of the things that I admire about this superintendent is this superintendent spends a lot of time in the schools.
Okay.
And it's not to micromanage staff. It's not to do that. It's what's the only way that you can actually find out what's going on in schools, Alex?
To observe it.
To observe and be in the schools, right?
Mhm.
So I think she spends a lot of time in her mobile office, which is her vehicle. And that's going and visiting schools so that she can observe what's going on in the schools, so that if corrections or changes need to be made, then right there in the front line, you're
So
able to do that.
she's a boots on the ground leader.
Boots on the ground leader, 100%
I like that.
boots on the ground leader.
Now you've been one of the things you wanted to do, you said during the campaign, was visit schools. You've been doing that as well.
I
right?
have visited schools, and and there's total transparency. I'm just going to say something reality, right? But before the current superintendent took that position. I asked to visit schools under the old leadership. I was allowed to visit while they were closed and no one present, Alex.
Okay.
And under the leadership of our new superintendent, they were alive. They were full of students. I got to see students being taught. I got to see a lot of the things that we vote on as far as the educational devices actually be in use. So I understood. So more than just a description of someone giving a presentation, I actually got to see the softwares and the items actually in the classroom being used. And when you see some of those things and actually how they're being used, you understand the importance of why we need certain things. And why it would be a mistake not to approve certain things that are being utilized in the classroom. So if you don't see it, you have no idea what you're voting on.
Yeah, exactly. It's such a valuable tool to have such a valuable experience to be able to make decisions if you've actually witnessed firsthand what is happening and heard firsthand. I don't know how it works when you tour a school, because I know you're probably in the background just observing. I don't know if you actually get to speak to teachers and things like that and hear about their needs or anything like that, but it's just a valuable experience to understand and be able to legislate, I think, more effectively, and for the superintendent to be doing it, to be able to run the system more effectively. So good on her. Good for her.
When I've done the visits, Alex, and I've been encouraged to actually ask. If I didn't understand something, I've been encouraged to ask so that I would have a better understanding, right? So, and that's one of the things that when I've experienced the teachers, well, this is what I'm doing and why I'm doing, and this is how we use this. So, they're actually really excited about showing someone what they're doing and why they're doing it. So, I mean, I can't say that I don't believe that what we're going to experience in the future is going to be positive just because of I think when you become transparent, you open the door for improvement. When you're transparent with the reality of what you're facing, it enables you to be able to say, this is our reality and this is where we need to go from it. But if you filter your reality, then you're pretending you have nothing to improve on.
And people are a lot more accepting and will offer far more grace to an organization that's transparent than one that tries to simply block you out and shut down information. What Justin said there gives me a lot of hope for this school system. Superintendent Chesser expects excellence. She commands excellence. When RCPS fails at excellence, she lets the community know why and enacts a plan to get us back to excellence. You can't ask for more than that from the person running the show.
No, you can't. That's why I'm so excited about the future, right? And what we're looking at. So, I told somebody a few weeks ago, they saw me out and they congratulated me on things we were doing and said that they thought the board did an excellent job in hiring the superintendent that was hired, former educator, right? And it was somebody who did not support me during the election. And I did say, I sometimes I gotta throw digs in, you know what I mean? Well, I'm not the devil you thought I am, right? And that's the thing about it, right? Because campaigns are campaigns, and you knew the other side was going to portray me as somebody who didn't care about kids, didn't care about education, didn't care about whatever, right? But I think the community is starting to see that I am someone who cares about the children, cares about education. And because the education of our children is the future of our community. And that's what we have to realize, right? So, you know, as we've talked for years, Alex, you know, you guys have talked about voucher programs, this and that. I've always been sort of silent on that. If you've noticed, not been very vocal, and it's because I believe in public education. And I do believe if you take monies out of the public education and you do it in the private sector and proportionally, you do weaken and lessen public education because you're taking funds away. Do I think that public education needs to be held accountable? Yes. You hold them accountable, but accountability doesn't mean to not fund it, because that's the same theory as people have when they say don't fund the police. Same exact theory. And that's neither one will work, because if you don't fund it, it can't be successful. Defund the police and see how that goes. Didn't go well in places that tried that, did it?
Yeah. Look, it's unfortunate that public school education costs more than double private school education, but you know, I guess that's something that we've come to accept from government. Unfortunately, they are remarkably bloated and remarkably inefficient. However, having said that, what I'm seeing from the board and from this new superintendent gives me hope. It really does. I would love to see a streamlined, efficient, and remarkably successful Rockdale County public school system like we've seen in the past. You know what I mean? Yes, I would love to see us get there again, because that would be economically, it would be the most important thing that could happen to this county.
Janice made a good comment here, Alex. I'm gonna put that up there for a second, and just, you know, transparency has helped the county by reducing the amount of time needed to fill open records requests. They can now focus on their key areas of their job. So, and that's right. If you're transparent up front and things happen, you explain it, then citizens don't have to dig. But if citizens do have an open records request, then we don't need to do all this hiding the stuff, and you got to pay us $50 million for it. Just give the people their documents. Right. That also makes them dig deeper when they feel that you're not providing records. And you and I know that.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, so, if you tell me there are no records responsive to your request, and I'm looking at leaked records responsive to my request, it's going to pique my curiosity, so to speak.
Alex, how many times have you and I gotten documents that we knew existed?
Yeah,
and got that stupid response?
Oh, too many times to count. And here's the thing, though. The 99% of the time, we just wouldn't report on it because we had no way of confirming it. It's unfortunate, I think, for the taxpayers, for the residents, because while I'm absolutely certain the information's there's nothing in particular here, but while I'm absolutely certain the information we get is accurate, without a way to actually confirm that information, neither you nor I were willing to go live and report on it.
No, because
unfortunately, that gave the past administration an advantage. Whether they knew that, I'm not entirely, whether they figured out, well, if we don't confirm this stuff, they won't talk about it. I don't know, but I hope that's not the case. But yeah, I mean, that's what I consider responsible journalism. That's what I try to do. You know what I mean?
100%. So I want to ask you, did you notice I got my little ticker working? And
I did, yes. I see
that's part of my high techness, right? So the ticker is my high tech. So
there you go. There you go. I might start running my own ticker real quick.
Yeah. So I like that, because especially when I got a guest and, and I'm on, and like sometimes people might scroll across it and might not know who you are, what's going on.
Yeah. They tune in late. They tune in after the introduction there, and people are like, well, who's this you're talking to? And yeah, it really helps with that. It's also great for a phone number. Remember I think,
yeah.
It used to have it. I don't know whether it was a scrolling ticker, but we used to have it at the bottom of the screen there.
Yeah, but that worked out really well. I like, you know, the new thing there that I figured that out a couple months ago. It actually was something they added. It was a feature to make it easier to do.
Right.
And when they made it easier to do, I said, all right, I can do it now.
There you go.
So,
There you go.
that worked out well for me. Let me see, was there something else?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't go live. I mean, as we're talking about streaming, I don't go live on my page anymore. I don't go live on Facebook anymore, actually, because Facebook don't appear to like live streaming. And have you gotten the notifications about how all your old videos are going to be deleted and giving you an opportunity to download them if you want to? I don't know if you've tried going through that process, but it takes hours, man. It will take you days to actually complete it. They certainly don't make it easy, but yeah, unfortunately, all of your videos, anything over 30 days old, live video gets deleted. If you want it to remain up there permanently for people to refer back to, you're going to have to upload a recording of it. So
Lisa Lancaster has a very relevant thing there. So there are people who don't know who Alec Donald is. Who are those people?
I mean, there are many people who don't know who I am, and many people who wish they didn't know who I was.
So, that's the funny thing is, like, Beth and I, we don't go anywhere. So we were at somewhere yesterday. Somebody came up to me, I love this guy, whatever, wasn't talking about me being an elected official, Alex. They were talking about the show.
Right.
So it's like, I don't even, when they come up, I don't even think about the board thing. I just automatically assume it's going to be the show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's 99%. That's what it is. It's the show. So, they're, like I said, I get my little reports and I look at them and everything from Restream. And, like we got 30 people live right now. Right. So in my 28-day cycle, when it's a non-political season, I'm getting about 6,000 views. Right. So, and that's, but then when it's political season, I'm getting 25, 30,000 views in that same 28-day cycle. Right. And that's, it's okay. So, I mean, to get 5,000-6,000 regular views in a 28-day cycle, that's a pretty good number for a local show, in my opinion.
It is. Yeah, it is.
Al, I'll tell you something. My campaign website, which is still up, right? I get 6 or 7 people go to that thing a day.
Do you really?
Yeah. Yeah, in the height of the campaign, during that whole voting cycle, I would get 150, 200 people a day go to the website. On election day, 400 or 500 people.
Right.
So I mean, so people go to websites more than you think they do too. Whether you know what I mean?
I keep having Facebook trying to. I guess my page is monetized, and they keep telling me, "Oh, to collect your money, fill in your tax information." But I'll be damned if I'm giving Facebook my tax information. Quite frankly, they can keep their money. But yeah, I just flipped over to my insights. I'm at 26,000 for the last 28 days. So.
Yeah, I mean, and the more you
maybe I should monetize that.
Well, I mean, because I just do the show, because when I'm doing the other stuff, I'm actually doing post and all this. I don't post a lot, so I'll do one post a week that I'm doing the show and then the show. So you got 2 things usually, right? So, but if I would do 2 or 3 things a week in whatever, then it would grow, right? So, and you do several posts a week, usually.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's going to keep your numbers. Your numbers.
Here's the thing though. I don't. I've never done this to make money, right? And I don't want to make money off of it. They get this. Facebook enabled. I know this because Charlotte asked, why am I seeing an ad in your video? I didn't see it. I had no idea. I had to dig through the settings to find where Facebook had enabled ads on my videos. So here's what's happening. I refuse to, I'm not giving Facebook my tax information because I don't want their money, but they now are making money off of my page, and they turned on ads on my videos so that they can make more money off of my page. I had to dig through multiple layers of options and settings just to find where that was to turn off that setting, Larry. It was ridiculous. It was annoying. But again, this is one of the reasons I don't bother going live on Facebook now. Now I'll just record a video and upload it. And because quite frankly, at the end of the day, that's how the majority of people are going to see a live video anyway. They're going to see the replay. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I get it. They're good. That they're going to see, and that's where they see this show. I mean, Alex, tons of people see the show. They just don't watch it live.
Yeah, they watch the replay.
They watch the replay. You know,
I mean, the last administration, they wouldn't come on during the because if you're on Facebook and you're watching, you can see sometimes it says, oh, so and so is watching with you. And so the last administration, they would never come on the live show because they didn't want their names popping up. But we know for a fact they were watching after the fact.
Oh, 100%. So I mean.
Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah, what are you going to do? Well, Al, it's time for us to exit the building. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. And even though I was the echo chamber, I'm going to work on that this week and see what I can do. I'm not certain what it is because I plugged that other mic in and it still echoed. And
it's interesting. I'm not getting an echo from you. What I'm getting is just broken audio, right? Again, like a cell phone cutting in and out. Luckily, I'm able to put together what it is you're saying when it goes out. But
yeah, I'm actually getting the echo in my own ear.
Interesting. But if the people on Facebook aren't hearing that choppy audio, I'm not sure what's going on. It's got to be the connection between you and I via Restream.
Yep.
Which is insane.
Well, like I said, and before the problem I was having with the other guest, that we would lose Restream connection. I wasn't losing the internet connection, but I was losing Restream connection.
Interesting.
And it's occurred when I have a guest.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Well, maybe in the week if you're on an evening, if you're looking to do some troubleshooting, just let me know.
I'll let you know. Hopefully you can pan it out. So yeah, guys, I want to thank all of you guys for joining us this evening. It's been a very productive show. I've, as always, enjoyed having Alex on the show. We had good conversation about what's going on, and I didn't expect the impromptu interview about education, but I'm always willing to give an interview about education.
That's what I like. You don't hide from it. You don't dodge it.
Thank you guys, and I'll see you guys next week, same time, same channels.